In this lesson, we're going to work a little more on finding the unknown in a given situation, but this time the unknown is going to be a percent itself. So the first example here says, what percent of 80 is 45? So we'll kind of play the same game we did in the last video. So just working our way across, what percent, that indicates we don't know the percent, so that'll be our x. Of, remember, means times 80. Drop that straight down. And of course, is means equals, and then 45. All right, now to clean this up a little bit, remember that we like to put the coefficient with x in front. That's the convention, so it's 80x equals 45. And so remember from working with proportions and from the last video, we have a coefficient times x. We can isolate x by dividing by 80 on both sides. So I get x equals whatever 45 over 80 is. And if you look here, they're both divisible by 5. And so you may or may not find it helpful to reduce this a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and divide 45 by 80 because 80 is a fairly easy number to think about. So I'm going to go ahead and just take 45 divided by 80. And so 80 does not go into 4. It does not go into 45. Sorry, I don't need that first 0 there. So we put a 0 there. Then, of course, we add our decimal after the 5 and add it after the 0. So 80 goes into 450 how many times? Well, that's going to happen about 5 times. So 5 times 80, well, 5 times 8 is 40, and then just add a 0. So we get a remainder of 50, add a 0, drop it down. So we've got 80 going into 500 how many times? Well, that should go in one more time than it did before. So 6 times 8 is 48. Add a 0. And so we get a remainder of 20. Add a 0, drop it down. 80 goes into 200 how many times? Well, that's going to happen just twice. 2 times 8 is 16. Add a 0 for 160. And then add one more 0. 8 goes into 400 exactly 5 times. Now let's understand what we've just figured out here. We've just figured out that x is equal to 0.5625. Now, is that our answer? Well, actually, it's not quite our answer, because remember that in the percent equation, the part representing the percent is not exactly a percent, it is the percent in decimal or fraction form. So x is the decimal form of the percent. So we have to remember that if we're solving for the percent in a percent equation, we need to then take the answer we get for x, move that decimal to the right 2 places so that I can actually report the answer as a percent. So we get 56.25%. Right, here's a similar problem, but this time we're working with some fractions. So it says what percent, again, that's x, but it's the decimal or fraction form of that percent. What percent of 2/7 is 1 2/7? So x times, right, of means times, 2/7 is, means equals, 1 2/7. So in terms of cleanup work here, let's put 2/7 in front of x. And let's not leave this as a mixed number. Let's turn it to an improper fraction. So 9 sevenths. All right, so then to get x all by itself, we know that we can just take both the left and right side and multiply by the reciprocal, or the flip, of 2/7. So multiply by 7/2 here and by 7/2 here. All right. So of course everything cancels out on the left side, isolating the x. And then we have 7s canceling here, so we get 9/2. And 9/2, let's go ahead and divide that out. 2 goes into 9 4 times. Add a 0 after the decimal point. 2 goes into 10 5 times. So it looks like we have 4.5. So x equals 4.5. But again, this is the decimal form of our percent. So the answer is 450%.